Did you know that 4 out of 5 jobs are landed through networking? So, if you want to find a job quickly, your main activity should be connecting to as many people as possible, starting today. Speak with your former bosses, ex-colleagues, and yes, even recruiters. Let them know you're exploring new roles and ask them to keep an eye out for you. Stay networked and you'll be in a new job in no time. Learn this and many other powerful tips with our Land Your Dream Job program. It's an online course that includes a comprehensive toolkit consisting of CV templates, resume checklists, and many other useful tools. The best part about this program is a 3-month email guide that will help keep you on track as you look for your next role. Indeed, your dream job is waiting for you. Click this link now.
Good morning, Singapore. Good morning, everyone on LinkedIn. Welcome to the Career Success Show with Adrian and Yen. Yen, how are you feeling today, this lovely Friday morning?
Good morning. I'm great, thanks. Can't wait for the weekend to start.
Oh,
as
yes,
usual.
of course. As usual. We should name this show the Can't Wait for the Weekend to Start show because a lot of our
That's a great idea.
a lot of our viewers and our listeners, they always comment that we're looking forward to your Friday show because it's fun, it's educational, it's entertaining, and we learn so many new things. And the other thing is that it reminds me that the weekend is just one day away, and I just need to slug it up for another 8 hours at the office, and voila, the weekend's here.
Or sometimes it's just the weekend. Oh yes, it's a road sign that the weekend is here, and then there's a little thought going like, gosh, the weekends go by so quickly, doesn't it?
They go by so quickly, and that's why God invented public holidays and for you, and hopefully the public holiday falls on a long weekend, right?
When is our next public holiday? Do you know?
I think it's gonna be sometime in November, so it's gonna be a while, maybe October. I know it's gonna be a while. Then it's gonna be Christmas and then end of the year. So things pass very quickly, don't they?
Well, boss, I take leave soon. Just saying. I'm going to block a few days off my calendar.
It's okay. We have an unlimited leave policy, so you can just take as much as you can. But you know what? One thing that's interesting is that today we're going to talk about a rather interesting topic because we have had clients who have been coming up to us and telling us that they've been interviewing a lot. And they are worried because some of the things they observe and they notice, they've been asking us, what do you make
What's
of this?
going on? Yeah. Sometimes you have conversations and for some reason your gut instinct is telling you that it's not going well or there's something else that's going on and you're not sure what that vibe, that undercurrent is. So they come to us.
Yeah, and there are warning signs that we have been able to, interpret and translate and and decode for you. That's what we're going to do we're going to do today. So for those of you who've just joined us, once again, my name is Adrian Chu, and I'm the CEO founder of Career Agility International. And with me is my co-founder and executive director, Yen, Super Coach Yen.
Thanks for that. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to be here. We should start with the news, though.
Yeah, so let's look at the headline news now. Yeah, the headline news, I just heard it on the radio 2 days back, that there was Singapore's inflation rate went up to 4.8%.
That's huge, isn't it?
That's huge.
That's quite significant.
It is, and it's hit 7%, the highest in like 13 years. It's almost crazy.
I think the last inflation pressure was like 2008 or something, and I think it was about 5%. Even then, we were screaming, why is our coffee getting so much more expensive? How is our chicken getting even more expensive? And petrol prices are going up.
Oh, petrol prices are going up. Yeah, I know. I'm walking around a lot more nowadays.
Yeah, you
When I
ride
go
your
and buy
bike.
lunch, I don't. When I go out and buy lunch, I don't drive out anymore to the neighborhood shop. It's a lazy me. Good gets me good exercise and puts in my 10,000 steps. But it's interesting to note that the key rise in inflation numbers is largely due to electricity and petrol. And I understand the electricity bit
Mm.
because the picture of the crying man at National Day Parade. Uh,
Yes.
that was me when I saw last month's electric bill of my kids turning on the aircon because of the heat wave. I was looking at the bill,
Yes.
like, what? Seriously?
Yeah, the demand for energy has gone up because there are places on the in the globe that has that's facing drought and all that,
Yeah.
or heat waves, and so
Mm.
we're all turning on our air conditioners. Yeah, but
So it's
good for you that you're cycling. I'm still driving around because
yeah. Well, you can always get a bike, and it's one of those cute little ones with streamers at the side handles, like
oh
the
no,
girly
not
version.
happening. No, no, not happening.
No, the reason why we are bringing this up is because I received a call yesterday,
Mm.
and this client of ours was asking, hey, when I'm asking for an increase in salary, can I factor in the inflation number as an excuse to ask for even more money? Since the inflation has reached 7%, could I? And if I was asking for 15% already, should I ask for 22% or even 23% to factor in inflation? What do you think?
Okay, I'm gonna answer with a story. A few years back, actually, no, many moons back, there was it was not a good time for employees, as in I think it was the employer market, and the employers
Mhm.
were spoiled for choice. And so what happened macroeconomically was that there was a 7% downshift
Mhm.
in compensation.
Oh wow!
And I was at the talk one day, and there was this gentleman at the top going, you know, the statistics indicate that salaries are being pressured 7% down. All of
Wow!
you should take a 7% pay cut.
Because wow, yeah,
And I
right.
went, and I'm like,
Hmm.
no. And so it's the same answer. So if inflation goes up, do you demand more? But when there's pressure downwards and there's
Hmm.
pressure to push down salaries, do you
Hmm.
also take something lower?
Yeah,
No.
and noting that
So
your
that's
salary
my.
shouldn't be tagged to
eh,
the market indicators like that, right?
I mean, to some extent, I'm sure there's a weightage,
Yeah, there
but
is.
I always look at the equation as who loves who more, who needs whom more.
Hmm.
So if the role is very difficult to do and you have a remarkable ability and you're
Yeah,
unique and you're the only one, then of course you have a higher premium. It's got nothing to do with inflation because the
I think
world does
so
not work
too.
like that.
I think so too. But having said that, you could always try. I know I'm
Yeah,
trying,
well,
but
if you don't try, it means you don't have, right?
yeah, you don't try, you won't know, you won't get. But I mean, just be reasonable. I mean, you could just ask for it, and you'd be surprised. No, they might have the budget for you, or maybe if you've done very well at the interview, they might actually think, oh, okay, well, just throw in this 7%. Yeah.
I
Or
don't
maybe they
know.
could have been lowballing you all the while. I think. So
Or
you
maybe
never
there's
know.
something wrong with the job. Maybe there's something wrong with the job. If it's too good to be true, usually it is.
It is, right? Yeah. So, if you are thinking, can I factor this in a conversation? Yeah, you could. If you want to be adamant about it, then could make things unpleasant. Then you're in for a rough ride ahead, lah. But
I
no harm
also
asking.
think I also think when factoring in or when considering compensation, it depends on that starting figure. So,
That's
I
true.
mean, if you're talking about 7% of, say, a $50,000
Mm,
annual salary, it's very different than a
mm.
7% of a $200,000 a year salary.
That's true. That's true.
So it doesn't work that way. And so,
Yeah.
well, if it gets complicated, come talk to us.
Yeah.
We can give you some ideas and some insight into what
Yeah.
makes a lot more sense for
That's
you.
true. And we want to congratulate a number of our clients who have landed. One of our clients, I just received another note yesterday. He landed with a 17.8% increase in salary. So you're right. It's and you know what? The original number was about 11%, but we told him, hey, nudge it a little bit up, and he did it successfully. And so congratulations, happy start work date, which is on, I think it's going to be in October. So it's going to be very soon. Enjoy your break while you can.
Good luck, right?
Good
Because
luck. Yeah, push
given
luck.
given that compensation amount, you're
Uh,
going to, yeah.
They're
Yeah,
gonna make you do more work, but
the landing is going to be fun.
fine, right? Yeah, but he's gonna make it because because we're taking good care of him. So
Yeah.
great. So once again, if you're asking for salary increase and you don't know how, just come talk to us. We'll show you how it's done, and no guarantees, but it's something which we are really really good at. So let's talk about the morning segment topic. It's quite salient because a lot of interviews are going on now, and it's always a two-way street in an interview, isn't it?
Yes. So, when the interviewer is assessing you as a candidate, you should also be listening very carefully and getting all the vibes about whether or not this is the kind of organization you want to work for.
It's like going on a first date, right? Interviews or second date.
It's been a long time since I've been on a date. So, I don't know. But yes,
You
the
can
interview,
imagine, right?
I think the interview is sort of when everyone's on their best behavior. But you've got to listen for and look out for what is being said, what is not being said, how it's being said, and their
But
behavior.
what's funny is that if you might have everyone's on their best behavior, and yet if they're leaking out red flags and warning signs, oh boy, you got to keep your antenna up. And that's why we always recommend to our clients that you go in with your eyes wide open and you observe the signs. And here are 5 interview warning signs you need to look out for in order to make sure that you're joining the right organization. And the first would be when the process takes way too long, okay, or gets complicated or seems rushed. What do you think? Okay, so if it takes too long, what's a nice period of time again?
If they have gotten their act together, it shouldn't take too long. Anywhere from, I think, 4 weeks or so to finalize paperwork details, get everyone's consensus. I think 4 to 6 weeks is reasonable. But if it takes too long, chances are they haven't gotten their act together. Something else is going on. Maybe there's
Something's cooking in the
internal
background, right? Yeah.
internal conflict. Who knows?
Or they have another candidate. Or honestly speaking, you may not be the number 1 candidate. You might be the number
Yes.
2, and they're just putting you on hold while they are courting the number 1. And if number 1 falls through the crack and doesn't come back, then you're number 2. So sometimes they delay it if the process takes too long. It's not just because they are not efficient, but sometimes you're just the number 2 candidate or the number 3. So you never know, right?
Or they really don't know what they're doing. And we've met many a line manager, haven't we, who doesn't quite know what he needs. He cannot articulate because maybe he doesn't have visibility. He just knows that he needs someone and someone really good, and then the expectations are just unreasonable.
Yeah. Or if the process gets too complicated, for instance, when you suddenly have to meet this guy, then you got to meet another guy, and then you got to meet the third guy, and then the fourth guy, and then cycle back to the first guy again. Then they give you a psychometric test to do, and after that it comes back, and then you meet back to HR again. And it's okay if you're joining a big company like Amazon, where I hear they've got
16
7, 8,
rounds?
9, 11 rounds, right? But if there's no structure to it, and suddenly you're meeting the same guy again, and the guy meets you at the meeting, and he goes like, I don't know why you're here. If it's too complicated and too convoluted, and there doesn't seem to be a process, then I think it's also a warning sign that that's how they operate, and it could get messy.
It's a signal of their natural order of work that if you join the organization, you might be going in multiple directions at any one point, like a pinball machine. I'm not sure that's healthy. But then again, if you need the job, I think it's a list of your concerns, right? It's a list of your concerns. I mean, if you need a job, then bureaucratic layers, it's just, okay, it's half of the cost, then okay, so be it. But at least you've identified the devil before you join the company.
So it's not so much a deal breaker, but just more of a warning sign. And I think one of my biggest pet peeves, one of the biggest warning signs is it gets very rushed. After the first interview, they go, okay, good, I want you. When can you start work? And on one hand, it's really good. Maybe they just simply fallen in love with you. It's like, oh man, I love you. But if it's very rushed, I get a bit nervous.
Something's wrong, right?
What do you think?
Yeah, they're too urgent. Something's wrong. It just means that there's a monster.
It could be something strong. I mean, not something.
There's a monster you need to slay the moment you join, and that's scary. But also, what annoyed me when I was headhunting was how long and complicated it was. But towards the end, when they want a decision, they want it like now. or they want the candidate and they twist the arm of the candidate and try to force the candidate to accept an offer. But then they've been treating the candidate not very well for the last 3 months, and
Suddenly it's like boom, right?
Yeah, so it happens.
Yeah, and once again, this falls back to what we were saying earlier. Sometimes you are the number 2 candidate, okay, and the number 1 candidate has fallen off the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
And now they're scrambling to get someone else on, just one body, and then they're coming back to you and they want to rush it. So if it's been a long period of silence, inactivity, lull, suddenly it's like, hey, we want to get it, hurry up. Once again, it's not a bad sign. I mean, it's a sign, but it's not a foreboding. It's not like it's a harbinger of doom kind of situation.
But it's a red flag nonetheless.
It's a red flag nonetheless. So if your interview process gets dragged down too long, gets too complicated, it's too rushed, or something out of the ordinary, just take that as a sign, and it's okay to inquire with the headhunter or the hiring manager what's going on, and let's see how honest they can be with you and how transparent.
Yes, please don't just ask the hiring people, ask around. So if someone somewhere knows someone somewhere who knows what's going on, ask around. And this is where you mobilize your network to go figure out if there's some other hidden agenda, so that at least you get more information before you make a rash decision.
That's true. A rush decision. Okay. The other part, which is quite fascinating for me, is always, I don't know if you've encountered this before, when your candidate or when your client comes to you and tells you, hey, the interviewer seems a bit disinterested in the
or unprepared.
Or unprepared.
Yeah, or hostile.
Oh, you've seen hostile before. I've never had clients coming to me as hostile.
Oh, yes, hostile.
Wow.
I had a friend who went for an interview who was not allowed to finish his sentences. So there was a question he answered before he could finish the next question. The next question is very abrasively hostile. That was difficult. But I think this is a very loud red flag. I mean, if the interviewer is disinterested or unprepared, is obviously uninvested in this time with you, you're not the top choice.
And I think it sometimes is a very strong indicator of the fact or the possibility that they already have an internal candidate in mind, and you're just going through the motions with you, and you're wasting their time. I actually had story time. I actually had a client once who, and I used his words. The wait in the lobby for the meeting with the CEO was longer than the meeting with the CEO.
Yes, I know who.
That's just terrible. And you were saying that it was very rushed, and the CEO did not seem to know what he wanted as well. So sometimes that's a warning sign that they really have an internal candidate, and true enough, through our internal sources that we dug up with people in the organization, they already had an internal candidate in play, and they just wanted to have a benchmark or just have the veneer of transparency that I've spoken to other candidates.
Yeah, so this is a big one. It's kind of obvious during, I guess, any meeting or any date that the other party is just not as invested, and that's okay. So cut your losses and move on. I mean, you can just say, I would suggest that you interject at some point and go, I can't help but feel that we're not really aligned right here. Perhaps
have you read my CV? Have you read?
Perhaps we should just call it a day. Perhaps we should, let's abort, right? Abort.
Run. No, and on the way out, you crack the fire alarm and you make everyone run out of the building.
You sound so petty, Adrian.
Yeah, I know. It's like just short of creating chaos in the organization. But I find that it's disrespectful.
Yes.
If they're unprepared or if they're rushing you through. But sometimes it is a situation where a crisis may have popped up and they genuinely have something else going on. So don't be too quick. Once again, these are warning signs. These are not cast in stone on the wall.
I think it'd be obvious if there was an emergency or a crisis.
Yeah, they will be
it'd be very obvious. But
at least they will excuse themselves. They'll tell you. Yeah.
The interviewer would still be projecting interest and go and perhaps suggest a second meeting or a third one, right? Or an apology, right? But if the interviewer looks like that lady in this picture here, it's very obvious. I think that's just not going to work out. I had a client who went for an interview once, and the interviewer was 20 minutes late. And when he came in, he kind of slam dropped his pile of things, boom,
Oh
onto the
wow.
table.
Like
And
boom.
he was just negative and black and like, so why are you here? You know, there was a tone, projecting
Oh
this
no, no,
hostile.
no, 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 no. That's a
Um,
run for the hills moment.
that's yeah. And so I asked the candidate, what did you do? He said, well, I tried to be nice and answered all his questions to the best I could of my
Mhm.
ability. And he just ended it after about half an hour or so. And I went, well, you suffered half an hour of abuse that was not necessary.
Yeah.
And I use that
And
word, it's abuse when an
you're
interviewer
right.
does that.
And you're right. It is abuse. And that's why one thing we want to share with our listeners, which we share with our clients as well, is that you don't have to put up with abuse. If the interviewer is rude or abusive or disrespectful to
Mm,
the point where
mm,
you really don't see it going anywhere,
mm.
you can stand up, excuse yourself politely and professionally, and say, thank you very much. I don't think this is a role that I would like to explore further. Thank you for your time. And just walk out.
And just
Okay, it's
leave.
okay.
Yes,
Yeah, it's okay. I've
absolutely.
had
Yeah,
clients have done that before.
yeah.
It is, you don't have to sit there and take the abuse. I remember, Ian, you were telling me you once had a client who just sat there and took it, right?
Yeah,
For an
that's the
hour.
one.
Yeah.
You don't need to. You can just say thanks for your time. I don't think this is going to be a right fit.
Hmm.
I mean, at the back of your mind, even if they did offer you the job, you're not going to work with this person.
Yeah.
It's not going to be pleasant. Can you imagine
Hmm.
having to be hostaged by this individual?
Yeah. Imagine her as the
It's
girl or
this
him as the
person.
boss. It's like, oh no, no, thank you, right? So,
Yeah.
and one of the other warning signs as well is this different people having different viewpoints about your role. That's very scary, actually.
Yeah, it's very obvious. When you meet person A and you hear a certain story, then you meet person B and you get another story, and you meet person C and you get, they're not quite aligned.
They're not
It's
aligned.
quite obvious what they say, what they don't say is that A and B and C are not quite, in agreement with one another.
And let me tell you a horror story, okay? So I had this other client once, and he went to hiring manager, and he went to the first person to interview. Okay, it was a team interview. Went to the first person to interview, and the first interviewer said, "No, when you start your work, when you work for
Sorry.
me, okay, when you work for me, you need to do this and this. I need to have this done." The second interviewer went, "When you work for me, you have to get this is done." And the third one said, "When you work for me," it's like, "Oh shucks, how many bosses do I have?" Or this guy thinks, these three people thinks I have to. They are my direct, and it wasn't. These were just colleagues, level
Can you
peers.
imagine? Can you imagine?
And
So
it's
what
just
happened
like,
to him in the end?
yeah,
Did he
he
accept the
ran.
offer?
No, he ran for the hills. He didn't
Okay.
want to. He was terrified. He was like, "What? So everyone thinks I'm their water boy." It's like it's
Yeah.
crazy. I'm not gonna do it. And
Yeah.
the worst thing is that the expectations are set at that level, and because he went back and he told the headhunter, look, everyone, and he clarified, and true enough, everyone wanted a piece of him.
Yeah. And I think that happens in the work world. I mean, you're already employed, but in your job, you answer to 3 to 4 different people. And if it already rears its head at interview stage,
Yeah,
I cannot imagine what
and,
your work is going to turn out to
and
be.
and it's okay. I guess it's okay if it's a shared service, right?
Yes,
If it's a
but
shared service, it's
then,
fine.
even then, you usually have one direct report, somebody that
Yeah,
a direct
yeah,
supervisor who would help you manage the different expectations if you're a shared service, so
yeah.
that there's some clear, transparent understanding as to how the priorities will be handled. So, yeah, I mean, but we know that in matrix organizations, this happens all the time. So,
It does. It does.
just to mention and put a plug in for our career mastery program, we help a lot
Mhm.
of our clients work on stakeholder management strategies.
Mm.
And then we say at this point, right, in our discussion, we're just talking about the interview part of it. But we do know that this point number 3, it happens.
It happens a lot.
It happens in your job all the time.
Yeah,
And I guess I just wanted to take off on a tangent here and say that when it does happen, how do you handle it? And
yeah.
we've got a lot of strategies for that.
That's true. That's true. And like what you mentioned, the hybrid model of matrix and everything, it does get complicated, and it does take a lot of skill to navigate. I'll give you a quick example. If you're a shared resource, between 4 departments, and department D, fourth one, it's only paying 5% of your salary, of your cost, department cost. doesn't mean you only spend 5% of your time with him, because he's expecting 100% of your time. So how then do you
Yep.
balance? We train all this during our career mastery program. So if you're curious about how to bring your career to the next level, come talk to us, because we have been successfully doing that for the past 5 years. So
Yeah.
but
And
back
also
to
just
this.
wait, I just want to say just back
Sure,
yeah,
jump in. Yeah,
back to
back to this.
this,
Yeah,
right? If at this stage different people have different ideas about what the role is, I am just thinking, and I'm going to be 99% right, that if you do take this job, it's going to be a burnout type role,
yeah,
or very clearly, anecdotally, anyone who's joined a company where the role is ill-defined
yeah,
and the stakeholders are not aligned, it's doomed to
yeah,
fail. It's
yeah,
doomed to fail because it
yeah.
doesn't matter who takes that hot seat. It's like a poison chalice.
It's a yeah,
It's
it's you're off to a rocky start. Let's put it this way. Unless you're
and
a
a rocky
master
end.
and a rocky end. Oh no.
Unless you find some sort of godfather who's going to protect you from the hailstorm.
Yeah. And then good luck to you. So just be careful, okay? If people are having different ideas of what you're supposed to do, different stakeholders are coming in, and it's you might want to get clarity. We're not saying you run for the hills, even though sometimes you might want to, but get clarity and get a commitment up front from the decision makers, from your boss, and say, look, am I reporting to you, or am I reporting to these 3 other peers? So just get clarity on it.
Yeah, in the back of my mind, my response to that is the answer is going to be, yeah, I'll give you the clarity now. And then when you join, things are different.
Yeah, correct. Or worse, still, I'll give you the clarity. Don't worry, I'll take care of you. And then you work on day one.
Right.
By the way, the boss has resigned. It's like,
Or,
oh no, you didn't tell me.
or
Okay,
he
true
goes
story,
back
by
on
the way.
his
True
word.
story.
Or he goes back on his word.
Yeah.
It
So
happens. Yeah.
warning sign. Warning sign. Okay. And the fourth one is sometimes you have one of the clearest warning signs when you have unreasonable expectations. Example, I remember one of our clients, she joined a fintech startup as their business development VP. Okay. And right off the bat, it's all the organization has a product. Okay. And the technical guys, there's a CEO, and there's a finance and everyone, but he got no sales engine. And coming on board, and they told her, look, we need you to drive 5 million sales in the next 12 months.
Wow.
And she's going like, what's your sales now? 0? It's like, okay, unreasonable expectations asked up front. Okay, run for the hills. Don't think that I'll get a job first and I'll negotiate the numbers down.
Yeah. Or what about the client who went for the interview and the first question was, what are your thoughts on working on weekends? He turned up for interview on a Sunday,
Yeah.
a Sunday at 3 o'clock, and the
At 3 in the
office was
afternoon.
buzzing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's unreasonable.
yeah,
Yeah.
So if they want you to pull a rabbit out of a hat and they don't give you a hat, okay, you got to be very worried about. So it's a warning sign.
Yes.
What you can do about it is that you can, and you should at the interview stage clarify. Okay, these red flags once again are not deal breakers. It just means that you need to clarify what exactly is going on, and it's a good chance for you to get up front and walk away if it doesn't work.
Agreed. Absolutely. Because it's better that you don't take the job than to join a company when things are just going to be nasty up front from day one. It's not worth the emotional distress. Not worth it.
Yeah, and especially for targets, because then if you go yes and they give you the offer and you accept it, and the worst thing is sometimes if especially in a sales job, they can throw a lot of money at you on the expectations that you bring in 5 million revenue in sales, you see? And then after the third month, fourth month, you got no leads coming up because their product may not even be finished yet. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the business owners are going to start feeling the stress, and then you're going to get the stress, and then they're going to be yelling at you. So just go in once again, as we said earlier on, eyes wide open, right? Yeah, wide open.
I'd also like to think that that you are better than this. When you think about job seeking, it's not just that one opportunity, and then you need this one opportunity, even though it's got warts, and pimples that you're forced to accept this offer. I mean, go look for, continue to look for a more ideal environment where your values are aligned. Yeah.
Very true, and also it's negotiable sometimes. Okay, so things you see a red flag or something you don't like or whatever, it's negotiable. It's and if it's not negotiable, then maybe the role's just not the right one for you.
Agree.
Yeah, and the last and not last final role is it's a hot seat. Okay, high
Yes, we
turnover role.
mentioned it.
Yeah,
It's like a revolving door.
yeah, like what you said, it's a poison chalice. Now here, drink it, drink from my cup, drinketh
You
from my
know,
cup. I have no
you,
idea what.
you can tell if any of our listeners here have been monitoring the market, and you'll notice that there are advertisements for the same job over a longer period of time. I'm not saying that the kind of jobs that cannot close. Like, why are they advertising again 3 months later? Why is this role popping up again another 3 months later? So within, say, a business cycle, one fiscal year, the role popped up 4 times. It makes you wonder. But if you have been very career agile, you're probably monitoring the job boards anyway. And you kind of on LinkedIn notice one day, hey, didn't this role, it was just last year. I remember seeing it. And then you kind of like take a look at it, and then 6 months later it pops up again.
Hey,
Something's
what
up.
happened? What happened? Right? Yeah. What happened?
Something's up. And then you might want to ask a couple of people and go like, hey,
Yeah.
is this role for real? What happened to the last guy? Oh, he joined and then he left after 6 months. And then after that we found someone else, and that one
Yeah.
lasted about the 13 months. So yeah, we're looking again. And then you go,
Why? But one of the interesting things as well to note is that you can actually ask the interviewer, what happened to the previous person? Oh, he was there for. Oh, she left. Did she leave for a better job? No, she left with no job in hand. How long was she there? Oh, she was there for 4 months. And then it's like warning bells, warning bells. Oh, how about the previous person? The previous person. Oh, this role was vacant for 12 months. The previous person was there for about 6 months. And then these are the warning bells that are chiming in your head, right? So it's like, run for the hills,
it's not just the role,
trust
by
your
the way.
trust your spidey
If
sense.
there's absolutely, if there's something, if it's a high turnover role, sometimes it's because the role is not very well defined, and sometimes the expectations are just too much, and then whoever sits in that role is unable to sustain. It's not about unable to do, but that perhaps it's at a pace that's just unsustainable, and then it's not worth the burnout. But usually, a high turnover role is an indication of a poor leader.
That's
That's
true.
my take.
Yeah. Or a very toxic environment.
Yeah, which
both.
usually stems from the poor leader.
Both, right? Yeah.
And usually it's because if it's what you described, somebody was on board 6 months and then it was vacant for 8 months, and you found another person who lasted about 12 months, and then it's vacant again, and you're kind of looking because this person's made an excuse to leave, and then you ask during the interview what happened to the previous person and the previous person, and you're getting this strange answer. Have you met those people, the kind who would assign blame to others and not them? Like, yeah, because this person got pregnant, or this person cannot handle the stress, and this person made a massive mistake and we had to let him go, and then this person did this. So it's always about the others, there's no self responsibility. It's another indication of a narcissist, right?
Yeah, so it's like going on a first date, and it's like and all the things start coming out, and you start finding out, maybe it's not other people, it's this person that has
Yeah,
issues.
it's starting to become a pattern.
Yeah, it's a pattern, you see. So you just run clear, call the bill, check please, you run out. It's like,
So what can you do about it? I think you should be asking others in the ecosystem. So have you ever worked with this individual before? What's it like? And you can ask, again, leverage the network, because people know people and people know of people, and they'll go, oh, I heard whatever. And then if more than one voice says the same thing, it probably is true. It's
I
probably true.
actually, when I was headhunting, I actually had a client who had a hot seat, and he asked me to fill it. Okay, and of course, I was very reluctant to do it, but they insisted that they needed. So we had a stab at it. I asked the client a request, and I said, because she said the incumbent left on good terms. Okay, she wasn't. Yeah, I said that, okay, can the candidate coming in speak to the incumbent and get the incumbent who's leaving, okay, and get just
Realistic
a feel,
job preview.
yeah, correct. And he said, okay, fine, it's okay. And it turns out that it was not a toxic environment or what. It's just that the scope was not done correctly. And
Yeah.
what happened was this person, my candidate, which I finally placed in that role, was given permission to realign, reorganize in a way which could work for him or her. And the placement was successful. So sometimes
Good.
it's just a symptom, but you can
Yes.
go in and try sort it out. But once again, right, you have to be
If
realistic
you're
about it.
senior, if you're senior enough, or if you have that level of mandate and that level of control, not all of us have that.
Not all of us have that.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes it's
Yeah.
a look, take it or leave it type situation,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's not our call, or sometimes it's not even our boss's call. So
Yeah.
it's important that you find out as much as possible.
True. Homework, right? So in summary, if you are looking for a role right now and you're interviewing with a lot of people, watch out for the signs. Like Ace or Base said in their 1991 hit, I saw the signs. So you got to watch for the signs. Okay, you got to watch out. Don't go in blind. Look for the signs. And what Yan was saying earlier, it's a two-way street. As much as they're choosing you, you're also choosing them. Okay.
Yep.
And trust your instincts, your guts. The moment your guts tell you that something is funny or fishy,
it probably is.
It probably is. Inquire, engage, ask. If the response is not satisfactory, move on. Okay,
move on. Yeah. You should go and focus your energies on other more productive things.
Happier, more productive things.
Start building your pipeline of job opportunities so that you're not hostage to any one decision.
In fact, many of our clients, they end up with 2 or 3 in the pipeline. It's quiet for a while, and then suddenly, when it rains, it pours, and they get 2 or 3 offers coming in.
Yeah, good for them.
Good for them, right? That's why we say, if you're in such a situation, get help. You don't have to go at it alone. Come to us, talk to us, because we have very good programs. One of our key programs, our cornerstone programs, is our career partner program, where you work together with Yan and myself, and we're going to sit down with you and craft out your career strategy during our one-on-one coaching sessions. We need to find out basically which areas of your career you might need help in. No two people have the same career situation, right?
Yep. And everyone's stories, even if it sounds the same, sounds very similar, it's contextually very different. Different industry, different players. And even though the chessboard has the same characters, everyone's got a different agenda.
Mm-hmm. And you need to read the signs, even as the things happen, even after the interview, if they're calling you back, what does this mean? Is it a good sign? If they ghost you, is that a bad sign? Now, of course it is a bad sign, but what then can you do if you really want the role? How do you unghost yourself and stalk them? Or when you just cut loss and just run, so there are things you need to know. We have lots of interesting stories of clients whom we've helped to successfully navigate this very precarious time. And the interesting thing is that when you are a senior executive, you're not going to have many interview opportunities because the air is just simply thinner up there. So make everyone count. Come to us and talk to us.
It's okay to pause and sort of step back, a little bit, and sort of survey the environment before you make a decision. And again, good luck to you if you're in the job search mode. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us, info@careeragility.org.
Yeah. And, the weekend ones, we want to thank you for your time again, for joining us. We always love sharing with you. And the weekend's upon us. Homework for you is chill out, spend some time with your kids, wife, husband, spouse, partner, pets, hobbies. Okay, just chill out.
Unplug and what's the word for it?
Detox? No, not detox. I don't know, because I've had like 6 people calling me up.
Digital detox.
I've had 6 people calling me up this week alone and telling me they're feeling browned out. They're feeling the burn because it's going into the 4th quarter already.
Yes.
And they are starting to feel a bit fatigued because this year has been very busy for them. So we were telling them, take a step back, chill out a little bit, reflect, recharge, because that's what we need sometimes.
Sometimes you can't recharge without unplugging.
That is, I'm trying to think. Can my phone recharge? Okay. I see your point.
Yeah, you need to have a digital detox. So take like a whole morning to commune with nature or something. Go for a long hike.
Go for a long hike. Yeah, that's one of your favorite activities, right? So,
yes.
So once again, we want to thank you for sharing the past half hour plus with us. If you have any questions, just drop us a note, info@courageability.org. And if you have any topics you want us to talk about, just drop us a note as well. In the meantime, have a great weekend ahead. And once again, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Have a
Bye.
super, super break. Take care. Bye.